Another day, another roof. Here we are, Protect, Preserve podcast. Today, we have a great guest, Arthur Mitchell. Thank you so much for being here with us today, talking about metal roofing and all the myths and all the things out there that we're gonna make sure you, the homeowner, gets the best. By the way, I want to thank you and your team. When I was visiting your shop, everybody was so polite, so nice. You showed me everything. It was awesome. A great experience, great learning curve. Thanks to you and your entire team. Appreciate you, Arthur.
Sure. We're always very glad to have our customers, our homeowners, our contractors come to the shop. We have a setup of samples, colors, the way that it's designed. We can show you how it goes together. So as a homeowner or contractor, either one, we love having folks over there, and I'm very glad to be here today talking to you. I'm talking to Edson. Edson has the best hair in roofing. Don't you think he's got the best hair in roofing?
Thank you for that, man. Thank you. And I hope it lasts.
Well, don't care what it turns as long as it don't turn loose.
There you go. Well, I'm going to be asking you some tough questions, and I want you to be brutally honest, and that's the whole idea.
Sure.
Well, let's go down the list. What are the most common types of metal roofing for residential homeowners?
It's in at Mid-Florida Metal Roofing Supply. We understand that when your customers are talking about metal roofing, they're usually referencing standing seam roofing. It's very common in Florida and all over the United States. It looks good. It's a hidden fastener system. So when you look on the roof from the curb and you get that curb appeal, you don't see any screws, you don't see any fasteners. So it's probably the most popular roofing. And not only that, but it's probably some of the best roofing for Florida's, arguably terrible weather. So we usually that's what you see. Now we also offer exposed fastener systems. They're good. They're not as good as the hidden fastener system, but they have great wind mitigation. In other words, what kind of wind, what kind of pressure does it take to take your roof off? Well, with metal, it's much higher than with shingles. So shingle roofing is good. The one and only aspect of shingle roofing that beats metal roofing is its initial price tag. Cost is a little different. Cost down the road is different with metal. It doesn't cost you as much because you're probably not going to have to replace it as often as you do shingles.
True. And as far as colors, I mean, what is the variety of colors that we have?
Sure.
Is there any one specific? What's the most common ones and whatnot?
We use a finish, Kynar 500, and another kind of finish. Those finishes are some of the very finest put on metal roofing. This is not a barn metal. This is something for your house, for your home. So these finishes are guaranteed for 35 years. They're color mixed into an epoxy made by DuPont, Kynar 500, and it just lasts forever. We offer metal roofing in many colors. We can even mix custom colors for you if you'd like.
Okay. Well, how about if somebody buys a just tin color, just like Bear? Can they paint them later? I mean, whatever color is not really recommended.
Sure, they can be painted. There's a pretty involved process to do that. There is a certain kind of primer that you have to use. So if you wanted to paint a metal roof, you can certainly do that. Of course, the factory finish is probably one of the best because of the way it's done and when it's done. So we don't really recommend anybody paint a Galvalume roof. What you're talking about is called Galvalume, or some people call it a mill finish. Nothing wrong with that. That's a timeless look, a timeless aesthetic on your house from the curb. So it looks like metal roofing. But if you wanted to paint it, you certainly could.
See, we learn every day. He's just teaching me. Thank you so much.
Yeah. You got to go to school sometimes.
I brought the school to us. Is there, in talking about painting the roof, is there something that you, the homeowner, should know? For instance, somebody's buying a house. Now, that question just popped in my head. If you're buying a house that has a metal roof, let's say, is there a way to know if that metal was, in a bad shape, was rusted, and now somebody just, like somebody flipping the house, just painting this thing, and now it's going to be peeling down the road? Is there a way to foresee that? Is there any signs that we could?
Well, I don't know about everyone else, but I would probably call a roofing company like Protect and Preserve Roofing and have them come over there and inspect that thing. Look for cracks, rust, peeling, finish, because once the metal, the substrate of the roofing is exposed underneath the finish, then you can certainly have some deterioration, rust, things like that can happen, and they'll happen really rapidly. So it would be good to have a qualified roofer come over and take a look at that roof and make sure it's okay. That's what I would do. I would call you.
Well, thank you so much for that. But for you, the homeowner, working with an integral roofing company nowadays seems to be a challenge. Unfortunately, our industry is notorious for being in the news, not for the most part for the good reasons. But this is why we're doing this, for you to research, for you to do your due diligence and go through, having the information, asking the roofer what to do, what not to do, and make the right choice. When you're buying a roof, whether it's shingle, metal, or tile roof, it is a hefty investment into the property. So make sure that you have the right contractor, make sure that you get the right supply, and here we are, making sure that we got the best.
And obviously we're the right supplier. We use only domestic steel.
Okay.
And we use a Weather XL Sherwin-Williams finish that can be matched to your gutters and other parts of your house that you might want to match. So we're very proud of that, and we've had almost no warranty claims over the years. 18 years in business at Mid-Florida Metal Roofing Supply. And we're just a family-run business that does premium and custom metal roofing products for every product we sell for a metal roof.
Nice. As you mentioned about the exposed screw system and the hidden fastener system.
Yes.
Is there one better than the other? Not only for the looks, but you're talking about a wind uplift. Which one is best?
So the material, the materials with the best uplift are standing seam, bar none. The Cadillac of roofing materials in standing seam is a 24 gauge metal, and we can talk about wire gauges, but 24 gauge metal. You can look that up with Kynar finish, and actually when it's installed, Edson, that metal is wrapped around the edge of the drip edge, which is right out on the eave of your house. So that metal is bent and hemmed on the front edge of that drip edge. So along with the clips or the nail strip that it's fastened with, it makes it very strong, very durable, and a great pick for your house.
Nice. All right. Well, that's interesting.
We think so.
How do metal roofs compare to shingles and tile in terms of durability and cost?
Well, we'll take those one at a time. So, tile is a great roofing material. It's long lasting. It's also very labor intensive to if you have to work on it, repair it. Your house, if you have tile on it, is actually constructed to hold that tile up because it's very heavy. That's why it's easy to change out a tile roof to a long-lasting, less expensive metal. You can buy decorative metal roofing that looks almost like barrel tile, slate, shake. You can change that roof to look any way you need it to look and spend less money than you would changing out tile. one of my favorite things is when they take that tile off, you've got to have 2 or 3 semi trucks to haul it away. Metal roofing is a great replacement for a tile roof. Should you need that to happen. So shingle roofing. Honestly, Edson, I think in being in the roofing industry, in the metal roofing industry, shingles have one benefit over metal in most cases, and that's it. It's less expensive up front. The price tag up front is less expensive. I'm not an insurance expert, and I don't want to sound like one here, but check with your insurance company and see how they treat your shingle roof. There's a good chance that they might come out to your Florida house, and they may say they may send you a letter that says, we'd like to inspect the exterior of your house or even your roof, and then they may send you a letter after that says, hey, you got to change your roof or we can't insure you anymore. And everybody in Florida knows someone that this has happened to. Metal roofing is treated differently by your insurance company. I know some facts about it that I'm not going to say here because they may change that stuff, but check with your insurance company and see how they treat that metal roof, how they think of it, and how long it lasts and its durability and its longevity. And I think you'll find out that the long-term cost of metal is much better than shingles. So shingle roofing has been around for a long time. It keeps the water out of your house, and it does that just fine. But it doesn't last long in Florida because of the heat, because of the humidity, and because of the unpredictable weather that we have.
Makes sense. Well, thank you for clarifying that. I know it's very common, as I've mentioned, for homeowners when they're in the process of exchanging shingles, they ask themselves, well, I want to go with metal, and it seems that the cost is the adversary, right?
That sometimes, yes, every time.
and just when we talk to also customers, the cost being the adversary, let's say that. Also, there's the challenge of some people just, I'm not going to stay in the house for that long, and I don't know if I'm going to stay here or not, or if I'm going to sell the house. So as far as the value to the property, how does metal increase the value of a property versus shingle?
I kind of look at that situation like this. I bought a house in Central Florida about 2 years ago now. As soon as I got the keys, Edson, I had to put a roof on it before I could get it insured.
Oh.
So the homeowner that sold me the house had to take a hit on their sales price so that I could put a roof on it, and I had to pay for to put another shingle roof on it at that moment. So if you have a metal roof on a house, it makes it more attractive to buyers. As far as selling goes, there are metal roofs that, like exposed fastener roofs, that last a long time. They're good roofs, and they're significantly less expensive than a standing seam roof. So for the seller, it makes it easier to sell. For the buyer, it makes a better roof. So it's a win-win. There's nothing, everybody needs a metal roof in Florida, but not everybody wants to buy one. So not everybody wants to buy one, and we realize this, but there's not really any scenario where having a metal roof on your house would be a bad thing. We realize that there's a price difference up front, but you got to remember that cost savings in the long run. Now, if you're not going to keep your house very long, you may want to gyp your home buyers a little bit, put some shingles on there. And that's fine too. Just protect and preserve. Do they do shingle roofing?
Yes.
Well, then we're good to go.
Well, and to you, what Arthur was talking about is in Florida, this is mostly for Florida homeowners. If you're buying a house or during the process of owning a house, your roofing system will be prorated by your insurance company. It's becoming really common. It's no secret nowadays that most likely, if you're buying a house and your roof is about 15 years old, it's time to go. Probably you will not gonna find an insurance company that insures that roof, and if you do, it's gonna be a little higher. At least that's what we see out there, and that's when, in the process of selling or buying a house, there's usually a trade type of deal. Well, I'll give you a discount and buy the house, because they will need to replace the roof. And all of that is because of, again, of bad contractors. That's what I understand, right? I mean, in every industry, we got good people and we got bad people, right?
Unfortunately, that's true. Yeah.
And again, it's not fair for the insurance company to pay for a new roof if you don't need one, right? And we see that happening a lot. But anyway, so as you mentioned, we're looking at 35 years for a metal roof, right?
A metal roof maintained correctly can last 50, 60 years easily.
Okay, well, that's a great point. When you say maintaining it properly, how to do so? Well, I just invest, and that's a great point, right? Well, it's a little bit more expensive, but probably it will last 3 times as long as shingle does. And how do you properly maintain a metal roof?
Well, that's a great question. I before I start talking about maintaining a metal roof, I wanted to bring something up. If you're environmentally conscious, the landfills in Florida right now are filled with shingles that are absolutely good to go. There are shingles trucks every day dumping this waste product onto Florida dump grounds and lands. Metal is completely environmentally recyclable, so it never has to go to the dump, and it doesn't lay in the dump for the next 35 or 40 years decomposing. Maintaining your metal roof. That's what we were talking about, right? So
you don't waste one opportunity to go for it. Metal.
Metal. Yeah. I was going to bring up the fact that I saw Kiss in 1976, but I realized that wasn't the kind of metal we were talking about. So it's metal roofing is very easy to maintain. Okay, it's a lot like shingles. You need to keep debris off your roof. It absolutely needs to be clean. There are roofing companies that will come over there and inspect your roof. They will tell you if it's dirty, if it needs to be clean, and that sort of thing. I keep going back to the roofing companies because most homeowners might not want to walk on their roof. They might not want to do that. So if you don't want to do that, call up Edson or call up another reputable roofer, have them come over and look at your roof and make sure there's no debris on it. Pine needles, leaves, dirt, all these things, basketballs, kittens, stuff like that gets up on the roof, right? So I don't know if kittens get on the roof, but they probably do. So have a reputable firm like Protect and Preserve come over and take a look at your roof. Roof inspections are really important, especially this time of year. You should have a roof inspection done because you need somebody to come up there and look at it and say, it's okay, take some pictures of it, and you can have pictures of your roof before and after a storm. That way there's less haggling with the insurance company, less guesswork in what you do. So maintain your roof by keeping it clean, even if you have shingles, keeping the debris off of it, making sure that you don't have any loose fasteners. If you have a exposed fastener roof, make sure that you don't have any loose fasteners, and make sure everything's still tight. And with a metal roof, it's probably going to be. I don't know about the shingles.
Awesome. As far here he comes again.
Yeah.
Is there any early indications that a metal roof needs attention for a common homeowner? Well, because it seems to me that most people, they think the roof is fine until it's leaking. Well, I usually say, your roof is fine until it's leaking, right? Well, when it's leaking, it may be too late. Instead of spending a few $100s to maintain the roof, because it may be, whether it's shingle, metal, tile, it could have been something relatively simple. If it's leaking now, most likely it could be now dealing with rot wood, or even rotten trusses, rafters. Now we got the ceiling wet, even your flooring ruined because of that. So it depends on how long. I mean, I did a roof the other day that it was not leaking, but when we removed the shingles and removed the underlayment, almost the entire decking was rotted out, like big spots, like water just getting through over the years. And again, it was not leaking, so technically it was fine, but the homeowner was really, really frustrated with the amount of rot wood and everything that needed to be done. Going back to the question, early signs of metal roofing that the homeowner just walking around looking to, oh, you know what, let me take a look. Is there anything that you would suggest that to be done? You know what, pay attention to this or that specifically?
Sure. Well, I think what we're talking about here is an ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. Once water starts, hitting that substrate, that wood decking that you have up there, once it hits that drywall, gets in that insulation in your house, it can destroy a whole bunch of things before, as you said, Edson, the homeowner even knows it's happening. You would want to walk around the edges of the house, look at the eaves, make sure nothing is lifted. If you see something lifted, if you see a spot on the roof that's if you have a shingle roof, look for missing shingles. Look for shingles that are rising up above the rest of the shingles. Could be nails sticking up. So on a metal roof is exactly the same thing. You want to look for metal that looks like it's not clipped together correctly. Maybe you just went through a storm. If a storm happens, you might want to have a roofer. There again, call a roofer and have them come over and take a look at that thing, because your roof is valuable, but so is the things that you have in your house. So the rest of your house is very valuable too. So make sure that how much does it cost to come over and have a roof inspection? Edson, from your company, how much is that?
It's free. A roof inspection is completely free.
No way, it's free?
Yes, sir. Well, it's a great question. I wonder why it's free for roofers to come out and inspect the roof, but when you call a plumber, electrician, HVAC, they charge for it.
Sure. And you guys
great idea.
You guys keep your pants fully up too. You know what I mean? It's not I shouldn't say that. Okay.
When we were talking about the insurance companies and type of roofing, there is a big topic in the industry, especially when it comes to insuring your roof, is when comes a hailstorm. How does a metal roof sustain hail, and how does the insurance company sees a metal roof after a hailstorm? I mean, what's considered as far as a metal roof standard? When it's time to go? I mean, when you believe a hailstorm can destroy a metal roof?
It certainly can. A hailstorm can dent a metal roof. The good news is that it's probably not going to cause it to leak. Whereas if you have a shingle roof, it can knock shingles off. It's going to make it look terrible. But metal roofing is going to require quite a hammer blow, quite a hailstorm to make that happen. That's what makes metal roofing a great pick for Florida. You probably couldn't tell, but Edson, I'm from Oklahoma, so I lived in Oklahoma City, and we had some major hailstorms there. Lots of metal roofing. So people in Oklahoma go to metal roofing because of hailstorms.
And winds too.
And the wind too. And that's exactly the same kind of thing that you see here in Florida with the hailstorms and the wind and alligators and stuff like that,
So when the hail hits a metal roof, is there a point that now it will rust or something happens, and what's a good determination that it is okay to keep that metal roof, or it's not that much,
sure,
or it's not just a dent? I mean, what would you say is time to go? I mean,
what would cause it to say it's time to go if it's a metal roof is if the finish is damaged. If something's happened to the finish, then you would need to replace that panel or the entire roof. Let me talk about that for just a second. So repairs on metal roofing. Imagine this. There's a limb hanging out over a roof in Florida. Now, I know this is hard to imagine, but sometimes there are limbs that are big that hang over a roof in Florida. And sometimes those big limbs fall off and hit the roof.
I've seen those.
Yeah, you've seen it. Everybody's seen that. And so everybody watching me right now says, yeah, I know, I got it. So when that happens, if you have a standing seam roof, the way that standing seam is connected together, just like the Legos, you're going to have to take apart a large section of the roof to fix those 1 or 2 or 3 panels, whatever it might be. If you use exposed fastener roofing, you can simply take off 1 panel, put 1 panel back, and you're good to go. So that's something to consider. You have a choice of cutting the limbs off over your house, but if you don't, then you might want to think about that in choosing your particular profile of metal roofing. We make a lot of a multi-rib panel exposed fastener roofing in Florida. Lots of people use it. Lots of people like it.
As far as color, right? I mean, you brought a really great topic, and by the way, that's something really to consider. Imagine a limb falling, damaging 1 or 2 panels, and it happens. I've seen it a lot. And then now we gotta pretty much take half of the roof out.
If you have standing seam, if
you do have a standing seam, yeah, correct. And as far as color, right? I mean, how long will it take? I know. I mean, it's like depending on the weather and whatnot. But what do you say is as far as matching? Let's say, what, I don't want it to be so obvious. I don't want it to be. What's the best color that you find it's better for matching and whatnot?
Well, I don't really know. That's a great question. With the colors last a long time without very much fade, especially the Kynar finishes. Now we do on our exposed fastener systems, we use an SMP finish. It's a little bit different, silicon modified polyester. That finish has a tendency to fade and chalk a little bit more than Kynar, but that's why Kynar's a premium. That's why it costs more. But most of the time, we can pretty closely match the color of your panels, unless they've been up there for a long time. If they have, it's realistically, it may not match exactly. So again, we get a reputable roofing company and we say, hey, you know what? We'll just change the whole thing. I'd like to tell you that we just leave some panels sitting out in the sun for just that thing, but we don't.
Great point. How does installing a metal roof differ from shingles?
Well, not as much waste, for one thing. There's a lot of waste with shingles, so all of that stuff's got to go. The waste of the shingles that you're buying, when as a homeowner, you're buying a bunch of shingles, and there's going to be waste off those shingles, and they're going to go in the bin with all the other old shingles, and they're going to go to the dump. With metal, we more closely cut that material to exacting specifications so that there's a lot less scrap. So that's one thing. It also takes a more skilled crew to install metal. And right now, I want to shout out to all the crews all over that install metal in this Florida heat. If you can imagine being up there on these hot days in this roof, there are guys out there that do this every day. And I just want to give a good shout out to them.
No doubt. And by the way, talking about heat, I believe this summertime we've seen a lot of roofers really like passing out on the roof, really in bad shape. I mean, it's one of, I guess, his record as far as heat. And imagine, I mean, if it's hot, just walking down the street, whatever, imagine working on the roof.
Well, it's going to be 10 times hotter up on that roof, but you're going to have an experienced crew up there. These fine gentlemen and ladies, they know exactly what they're doing. They've done it hundreds of times. They get up there, and it takes a little bit longer than shingles because there's a lot more care that goes into it.
No doubt. You talked about, we talked about earlier, metal, shingle, tile. As far as putting together a quote, and this is something that sometimes the homeowner does not understand what happens putting a quote together, because in the process of educating the homeowner, they need to understand actually what they're buying. How can people manipulate the cost? I mean, as far as shingles, I see is buying subpar material, as far as like what they call the seconds, or the underlayment. When it comes to metal, because another thing that I saw the other day was a house. It was a tile roof, and it was leaking in various areas of the house. And what I did was I removed some tiles every 36 inches, which is like the roll of underlayment, and I can see like the underlayment was gone pretty much. So it came to me that, well, the tile looks fine, and as we know, tile can last up to 50 plus years, but the underlayment probably will go before the metal, the tile, and whatnot. So what you really recommend, and obviously probably is going to be a little more expensive, but it will outlive, or at least come as close as the actually covering lifetime, and that's not worth to save the money. Again, I'm sure you probably can put a metal roof and you can use different underlayments, but what would be the best choice
for the whole project?
For metal roof.
So the very best choice for your project is, first off, hire a reputable roofer. Find a roofer that answers the phone when you call. Find a contracting office that is responsive to your questions, responsive to your worries and fears, and is always available during business hours. After that, make sure that if you want the very best, you're going to want to have a 24 gauge metal. You want it to be standing seam. You want to have snap. The way it's affixed is with a snap lock. There's two ways to affix standing seam roofing to your substrate, to your decking on your house. One way is to put screws right down the edge of the standing seam into pre-drilled holes, and that holds it on the substrate. The problem with that is that in long runs, panels over 25 feet in length, it will cause it to crinkle and look like it's got humps and dents in it all the way up in certain situations, in certain light, in certain times of the day. So we don't want that. That's called oil canning. So the way that you avoid that is by not allowing people to use 26 gauge metal, which is thinner. Don't allow your roofer to use 26 gauge metal because it's a little less expensive. And your roofer could give you a break on the price, or he could just be making more money. So 24 gauge standing seam with a Kynar finish, with a high temp underlayment. Any reputable company like Protect and Preserve is going to do that.
Wonderful. And it just popped in my head. The higher the gauge, the thinner the metal.
So the higher the number, the thinner the metal. There you go.
Well, yeah.
You heard that first right here, folks.
And how can a homeowner know that? And the reason I ask, I mean, you talked about the gauge, right? And the other day I went to a shingle roof, and it was really interesting what I found out. This roofer sold the roof to this homeowner, and it was a X brand. 6 months later, he decided to put a solar system on the roof and ruined the roof. The company, the solar panel company, was long gone. They called us, and we called a solar company that we know. They had to remove the entire system to reinstall again, and we had to patch the areas that they had done wrong. We asked the homeowner what type of material they used, and they gave us the name and brand. It was about 6 months later. We bought the same color, same everything, and it didn't match. And it was like very different, some sizes and whatnot. Well, what we found out was that the roofer actually told the homeowner they put in X material, and actually they put something else, a subpar quality. And now I wonder, how many roofers are doing out there or could be doing it out there every day, selling a homeowner a 24 gauge and installing a 26 gauge, or saying they're going to do this and they do that? What would you recommend when it comes to metal so the homeowner can know for sure that what they're being sold is actually what's being installed?
Well, it's a little extra trouble, Edson, but with the homeowner you have to do a lot of homework when you're going to buy things today, and especially when you're going to invest as much money as a new roof costs. I would first look at that company's reviews, see what they look like, see what people are saying about them, and I would dig into that. The next thing I would do is I would ask a roofing company, do you have any houses that I could go look at, that I could drive by and look at them? You may have a homeowner that would say, hey, you can walk around the whole house, it's fine. But if you don't, somebody can look at look at the roofer's work and ask questions when you can. That's really the only way. There's the difference between 24 and 26 gauge is not really apparent. You would have to go out there with a micrometer and measure it. So you're probably not going to do that as a homeowner, but you can make sure that you can find people that you trust. I talk about this all the time. You have to trust the person that you're working with. You have to trust the person that you're going to spend this money with. And if there's any time that you think you can't, then I would suggest that you pause and regroup and just really think about what you're doing and who's going to do this work for you, because our intuition is very strong. So use that. If it doesn't seem right, it may not be right.
Agreed. With that said, the sad part though is, even when you look at big companies or a lot of good reviews, we don't know at what stage or what time that company is about to go bankrupt. And the reason I bring that is because, I'm not trying to scare you, the homeowner, but as but as Arthur was saying, you know what? If I were you, investing all that money, yes, you need to trust and you need to do your due diligence in hiring a company, but just go to Home Depot, get like a metal gauge type of thing, check it, find out where they're buying their material from, make sure it's from my friend over here.
Mid-Florida Metal Roofing.
There you go. and do that. And the reason, again, is because it's really sad to see, I'm talking about 40, 50, $60 million roofing companies going belly up all the time.
Sure.
Isn't it true?
It happens.
And companies with hundreds of reviews and great salespeople coming into the coffee table, great spills, great everything. And now, as you mentioned earlier, you call them, they're gone. I've seen many of those. It's buying a car. You're just not gonna buy a car. Make sure, buying a roof, you're talking about $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 investment. You really have to understand about the company, where they're buying the material from, warranties and whatnot. Great topic, warranties. What is the warranty? What can a homeowner expect as far as warranty for a metal roof?
Well, when you buy metal roofing, you can expect that it's probably just going to last, and you're probably, statistically, you're not going to have any trouble with it. If you do, we offer a 35-year warranty on the Kynar finish. There's a 40-year warranty on the SMP finish on the exposed fastener, so that if anything happens, what would happen is the person that bought the metal we would have a representative come out, take a look at it, and write up the warranty claim. We only buy domestic steel, domestic metal, so every one that we deal with is right here, honestly, near us. So it's easy to get a representative to come out and talk about warranties if need be. Frankly, it's unlikely that a metal roof would need a warranty service unless, it would just be something unusual. The finish is super tough. The substrate is second to none. Domestic steel, we use that because there's not as much standardization of the substrate, the metal itself, imported from places like China. There's not as much hands-on standardization and testing of that stuff as there is domestic steel. We have people come into our shop and test the steel and the coils of steel in our shop to make sure that they are the right thickness, the finish is right, and so it has to be right, and we have to keep those things on record.
Wonderful. When would a warranty be null? Let's say I buy a metal roof and then something happens. I say, hey, you know what? This may be under warranty. When would a warranty not cover?
So oftentimes what we see in the business, and not necessarily, at our place in Mid-Florida, but, in this business you hear about things. Probably the number one complaint that we hear about not warranted is installation, poor installation practices. Installers have to know, what they're doing. They have to be especially trained, and there are many good installers in Central Florida and all around Florida. That there are some that might make a mistake or inadvertently do something, and if it's not installed properly, then there's no warranty, no remedy for that. So it's important to pick a good company with good installers that have plenty of experience. If you do that, you're not going to have that problem.
Wonderful. So that's basically the majority of the fail comes when it comes to metal is poor installation.
Almost every time. Yes, sir.
Super. Well, when it comes to shingle, it's funny because when you see the warranty is, it now they say it's a 35, 50-year warranty. Well, I'm yet to see that happening. Maybe if you put a roof under another roof, right? Warehouse.
Yeah. Yes. With shingles, you're going to have to go out to the dump and check them out there and make sure they're still good, because that's where they're going to be in 50 years, So
yeah, it's a tough one. Well, let's go down the list, my friend.
Sure.
Tough for you today.
Okay.
How often should the homeowner inspect and maintain their metal roof?
Well, at least annually. I suggest annually all the time because, in the fall, some leaves fall on it, some things get up there, and so you want to make sure that stuff is gone. If you're not comfortable walking around up there, you have to make sure that you're not going to scratch the finish. So you might want to get a professional roofer up there to check it out, or have a professional cleaning company come over and do a soft wash on it, which is very valuable. Make it last a lot longer, make it look a lot better, and won't end up costing you very much money in the future.
Super. Now, metal versus shingle. You mentioned about washing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like pressure washing. Can you just get a pressure wash up there and wash it off, or is that recommended?
With metal, it's easy to do that with. You can do that with metal roofing. Shingles is a little bit different story because shingles have ceramic granules on them, and they'll come off and fill your gutters. You probably, if you're a homeowner right now, you've probably cleaned your gutters and went, wow, where's all this rocks coming from in my gutters? Well, they're coming off your shingles.
True. By the way, if you're intending to get on your metal roof yourself, just to do like a regular inspection or walking on your roof, be really careful, especially early in the morning. You still may have some dampness on your roof, and be really careful. I would suggest waiting until like maybe 10 o'clock or something when that's gone, because even for the professional, when we go up there and if you step and if it's wet, off you go. So be careful with that.
Don't fall off the roof. That's you heard that first from Edson right here. Don't fall off your roof.
How does installing a metal roof differs from shingle or tile?
Well, like we were talking about a while ago, it just boils down to the expertise required to install it and the time it takes to install it. Shingle roofs go up really fast. They're really easy to work with. Metal roofing is a little bit harder to work with because you have to be more exacting on what you do. It has to be more perfect. So a metal roof installer does a lot more cutting, a lot more measuring than cutting. So
measure twice, cut once.
Measure twice, cut once. That's an industry standard right there. So it's just the length of time it takes to install it and the care with which it's installed.
Super. Awesome. When should a homeowner consider replacing a metal roof?
When it rusts. If it's rusty, replace it, because it's not going to last. So once the rust begins, then it's time to do something different with your metal roof. But, again, properly maintained, cleaned, checked by a roofing company, by somebody that's experienced with looking at different situations on the roof. That goes a long way to preventing those things. So, like we said a while ago, an ounce of prevention beats a pound of cure.
Super. Do you recommend putting a metal roof over a shingle roof? We get questions about that all the time because people want to save the money about removing the shingles and installing a metal roof right on top. I know we have some codes and things that we need to respect, but do you recommend that? I believe I've seen that done, especially after hurricanes, because we see that thing like,
right,
and just the shingles down. Is that recommended? Is that possible?
Well, the answer to your second question, is it possible? Yes. By Florida approval, yes, it's possible. So if you see someone doing that in your neighborhood, I don't want anybody to run out and call the police and say, hey, they're breaking code here. So, Edson, you said something a while ago. You said we tore something off and there was all this decking that was bad. If you had decided to put a metal roof on that house without removing any of that stuff, because you're going to save what really amounts to an insignificant amount of money to pull off the shingles and put them in a trailer. It doesn't cost that much as a percentage of the job. So you said, hey, I'm just going to save you that money. We're going to put this right over your shingle. Then there's a good chance that you may or may not have even known that substrate was bad. If the substrate's bad, your roof is bad. If you put screws in it or you put nails in it, they won't stay. They'll come out. A strong wind can blow that stuff off, or they're right around the nails because the wood that it's supposed to be in is gone. So I'm gonna say that it's usually not a good idea to roof over with metal or anything. It's usually not a good idea because you cannot see the substrate. And reputable roofing companies will look at the substrate. They want to see that decking, and they're going to take it down, and so they can see it. They're going to report to you that you've got some bad decking. We're going to change that out so you can feel comfortable that when the job's done, the job is done. If you roof over, unless you absolutely know that all of that stuff is good and you're just putting metal over the top of it, then you could be making a big mistake. Also, when you roof over, some things have to be modified. So you're going to have to put big wide drip edge on your eaves, and the look of your roof is going to be a little bit different because of that. So I don't know. I couldn't give that a very high score.
Super. Well, thank you for sharing that. Another thing too is when it's time to replace a roof or install a metal roof, and if you're really considering cost, and you know what, I'm just going to put over my shingles. Well, there's another factor that you need to consider, especially for Florida homes. Depending on how old the last roof was replaced, there's a new code that we need to re-nail the entire decking of the property. And Florida has great laws. I mean, it's yes. When it comes to roofing, it is incredible in general. And now when we go to these disasters, and the last one, when I went to Fort Myers, and I was impressed. And we had the category 4 near 5, something like that, and we see damage, but it's not as near as an area that had roofs built before with the codes and whatnot. So another thing, a bit reason about exposing to the decking is not only to see if there's rot, plywood, substrate, but also re-nailing the entire structure, bringing it up to the new codes and requirements for wind uplift and whatnot. So that's another thing. If a roofer tells you that they're gonna they remove the shingles or the metal, whatever, and there's the underlayment there, and they put another one on top, have them remove everything to the bare wood so they can see the decking. Often then what I would like, I've seen some roofers just putting, especially in all these states, I see them, selling that to the homeowner. Oh, you just get an extra layer of underlayment for free. That's not true. Have them remove all the old underlayment to expose the decking. Make sure that the entire decking is clean, free of rotwood, and ask them to take pictures of the decking or video recordings. Why? Some contractors, instead of replacing wood, they would put a piece of metal screw to it because they just want to cut some corners. And again, price versus cost. And these are the things that you, the homeowner, cannot see. I mean, you're away working, or it happens so fast. Now paper goes on the roof.
Sure.
And again, it's not about the price, it's about the cost. You are already making a hefty investment, whether it's shingle, tile, or metal. Be careful, because those things happens every single day. Protect, preserve your home. You like that?
There you go. I like it. Hang on. I got some tears.
I know you talked about oil canning, and how can you prevent that during the installation? By the way, did you bring a sample? Because at the shop you showed me something really cool, and we can show that to the property owners out there about the difference in the metals.
So oil canning happens on standing seam and 5V panels.
Okay.
So oil canning is a condition that comes from the metal that's coiled and formed into this panel, whatever length it is.
Okay.
Trying to return to some original condition. So what you would see if the panel was longer is you would see dents and hills and valleys in it. And it wouldn't be there all the time, just sometimes.
Oh, so it comes and goes.
Right. And all standing seam and 5V is prone to that.
Well, I don't know if you in the camera can see this. I mean, there's like
that one has a 2-line profile, so there's 2 lines down the
so there's a profile here. I don't know if the camera can catch that, but also this is the type of a standing seam that Arthur is talking about
with a nail strip.
With the nail strip, right? So they nail right here. So this type of standing seams, it's more prone to oil canning.
Right, because the other system uses this panel here, and there would be a clip. There's a clip here, and this, if it's a clip style, this would clip over and be hidden, the clip and the panel and everything.
So obviously it allows the metal to extract and contract and avoid more oil canning from happening.
Right. So that in that situation, the whole panel can expand and contract and
freely,
like you said,
right?
and yes, and to keep that from happening. Okay. And so that's the best way to prevent oil canning, is to use a clip system. This is good for shorter runs. So if you have shorter runs, you're going to be okay. Avoid 26 gauge metal, because it's more prone to oil canning. Your roofer can help you avoid oil canning a little bit by saying, hey, we're going to check and see how flat the roof is. Most homeowners would be surprised to find out that their roof is not completely flat. It has peaks and valleys in it because the rafters on the trusses are not all exactly even at this point. They may have been at some point in the past, but now they're not. So there's peaks and valleys in their rafters a little bit. Could be that some of them are big, and if that's the truth, then a roofer can see that, can fix that. To some degree, you can repair that as a roofer. Is that right, Edson?
Yes, but what would you recommend? I mean, would you fix actually the rafters and?
Well, you're gonna
or there's like another way they would recommend, because I know in some instances, if it's really deep, you're gonna have to remove the plywood and scab the trusses, the rafters, and whatnot. Right. But as far as, is there a limit that you recommend? I mean, if we put like a straight edge on the roof, if it's like an inch, like a bow or something, what is the limit you recommend?
Well, if it's bowed more than 3 inches, then you probably something's going to have to happen. You're going to and just let me mention that the word scab is terrible. I don't know who thought that up as the scab, but so what we can do is we can take that decking off, we can cut that rafter, raise it up, and put a scab on one side of it, a board on both sides of it, and hold that thing straight. So now your roof is flat, which also mitigates oil canning in standing seam roofing.
Super. As far as price, this system versus the clips, which one is cheaper?
The clips, the nail strip is cheaper.
Okay.
So some roofers use nail strip because it is a little less expensive, trying to be more competitive with other roofers. The cost savings is not really significant. The only thing that you're buying extra is the clips themselves. You still have to use the same amount of screws. So most of the hardware is the same except for the clips themselves. They'll cost a little bit, but it's not a significant savings over the nail strip, especially for long runs over 25 feet. If your roof has panels that are going to be more than 25 feet or more, use a clip system. Keep that oil canning away from you.
Awesome. And you were explaining you can request when you're building this to have.
Sure. We make 3 different profiles. So that one has 2 lines in it.
Okay.
We can make a flat one, which is the worst. If you want to avoid oil canning, don't pick flat. However, we do make that. And the best one is called striated. Or if you're from Oklahoma like me, you say wavy. It looks wavy in the center. So if it's striated and it's 24 gauge and it's a clip system, that's somebody that wants to avoid oil canning on their roof.
Super. What finishes or coatings protect metal roofs from rust and corrosion?
So, like we've already mentioned, there's a couple of different finishes that we use. Some companies that sell metal roofing call them different things, but it's all the same. Without getting too technical, we have an epoxy coating called Kynar or PVDF. It's the Cadillac of finishes. It has better resistance to fade, better resistance to chalking, and just holds up extremely well. The S&P finishes on our exposed fasteners are an industry standard. They've been used for a long time. Nothing wrong with them. They just are more prone to a little bit more fade and a little bit more chalkiness over time.
Nice.
So that's kind of what you can get.
Now, when it comes to screws, when you have an exposed screw system, metal roof, what kind of screws you recommend?
Well, every time I recommend a screw like we sell, like a lot of companies sell. So the screw has a cap over a neoprene washer, so that screw goes down and compresses the neoprene, and there's a cap that goes over the whole thing, so it's not exposed to the elements. Our screws are warranted for 20 years, and that's an industry standard too. So no matter where you get metal from, you're going to get warranted screws. You should.
Nice. I see those. It has almost, it's kind of like a little umbrella right over.
It's like a little umbrella. Yeah, that's good. You heard that here first. Again, Edson taking you to school.
I'm trying to make it easier.
Yeah.
I mean, but some are not, right? So probably when you also screwing it out, you can ruin the rubber, and the rubber, because of the weather, it's going to get dry rotted, right?
So
it leaks. It's going to be more prone to leaks.
Absolutely. And again, this goes back to installation. The installers are going to use some tools that will allow them to put that screw in there exactly right, so that it's not overdriven or underdriven. That's probably the biggest problem you would see with screws. So the roofer, the installers they know exactly what they're doing. They're going to put those screws in there in a certain way and in certain places, and it's going to make your roof last a long, long time.
Super. Do metal roofs help keep homes cooler in the Florida heat?
Well, yes, they do. I'm glad you brought that up. So another fascinating fact about metal roofing is that it doesn't absorb light. It's reflective.
Interesting.
So it reflects light. Therefore, it doesn't. Does it get hot? Yes, it does. Does it cool off when the sun goes down? It sure does. Now, if as a homeowner, I'm not going to recommend that all the homeowners do this, but if I got up on my roof that has shingles on it at midnight in Florida, and I put my hand down on the shingles, they would be hot from the heat of the day. Metal does not do that. So it'll save you energy costs because it does not absorb that light and heat. It doesn't heat up. So at night, when it cools off, you're good to go.
So basically, you may also see a little of reduction in electricity.
Yeah, you certainly
because
could.
of the AC is not going to be
that especially at nighttime, you'll see a big difference.
Awesome. How does roof pitch or framing affects metal roof sustainability?
Well, great question. We were earlier, before we got on camera, we were talking about low slopes. Metal roofing is not really the lower the slope, the effectiveness of metal roofing falls off after about a 212 pitch. I mean, you can put it on lower slopes. You just have to do different things. So the pitch of the roof, even with shingles, affects how well they work. The higher the pitch, the more water runs off of it faster, and that's better. In Florida, where we're at now, there's not a lot of highly pitched roofs. They're pretty low sloped. We don't have to worry too much about snow loads here. So if we were in other places, we'd have to think about that.
Maybe in the Panhandle.
Yeah, maybe in the Panhandle. Yeah, they got some snow on the beach, I think. Yeah. That's the way framing and construction affects metal roofing, is the pitch of the roof, really. There's not any place not any particular type of framing, not any particular construction technique that can't have and accept a metal roof. So you can put them on any roof. It doesn't matter how old, it doesn't matter how new. You can put brand new Victorian metal shingles on your vintage house, or you can put the latest granite on steel, shake shingles, shakes, metal shake, metal slate, barrel tiles on your metal roof too. No matter what the construction of the roof is, as long as it's got a substrate and not just purlins. A lot of times on a tile roof, you would tear those off and find out there's no substrate there. There's only purling. So
true.
So if you have a tile on your roof right now, you may have to have some decking on there to put metal on. So we need to bring that up.
Now, how you see the future for metal roofs? And I've seen a lot of beautiful roofs right now with metal roofs that resembles tile. And is that a new trend? It's really new. A lot of the back in July of last year, there was some legislation in Florida, and everybody can look that up. It talked about how you have the right to harden your home or your business against the effects of hurricanes, against the effects of storms. And so even if you live in an HOA it's particular about the look of homes, and that's why we get into HOAs, because we won't want a particular look, but you're completely eligible to get metal roofing. Now, what we've seen in the industry is that HOAs may say, well, metal's okay, but we want this particular kind of metal. So at Mid-Florida Metal Roofing Supply, we sell every bit of that: granite on steel, barrel tile steel, slates, the shingles that look like slate, shingles that look like shake. So we can accommodate any of those HOAs or places where they say you have to have this particular kind of metal roofing on there. We can do that. Nice. But that's a great thing that you just brought up. And I know homeowners associations, some of them are really difficult to deal with this. I mean, I'm sure that they want to make sure the neighborhood is well taken care of and maintained. Sure. But you're saying that by law, if they want a metal roof, it's kind of overrides the homeowner association?
So you have the right to harden your home against the storms that we have here in Florida. So that includes metal roofing or hurricane shutters, things like that, and anything that makes your home more resistant to the storms, you're fully okay to do. Now, the homeowners association may say, well, we don't want any exposed fasteners on there, but you can put granite on steel on there. And like I said, Protect and Preserve Roofing can do that for you, and we can sell it to you, and we can fix them up. You can make that happen no matter what.
What's one important lesson you have learned about metal roofing?
Well, I want everybody that's watching now to look at the devastation of the wildfires in Hawaii that happened. In that one particular town, Lahaina, I believe it was, there's one house that's still there. One house that was untouched by those fires. And that one house had a standing seam metal roof on it. Metal roofing will save you from fire. It'll save you from storm. It'll save you from hail. And I'm pretty sure mutant spider attack or something like that too. There's just nothing it can't protect you against. But that when I saw that was it was a poignant thing. But I thought, that's something right there. That's protecting your family. That's protecting the things that you have inside that house. To have a roof. The roof kind of holds the whole house together, and with a metal roof, it looks good and it works good. So I encourage everyone to think about those things.
We heard something about blue roofs and whatnot not being able to be seen by satellite. Is that true or not?
I don't know, but I'm just going to make up stuff now and say that probably not.
I mean, seriously, otherwise every terrorist out there would paint their roof blue.
There are terrorists out there right now saying, we can't find any of the IHOPs. We're looking for an IHOP, but we can't find them because we can't see them.
Now, jokes aside, what about lightning? Because I believe some folks, as a matter of fact, last week we had 2 referrals from our partners in insurance companies as vendors, and those 2 homes were hit by lightning. It was a shingle roof. Mm-hmm. How does a metal roof behaves against lightning? Sure.
So lightning is looking for ground. It's looking for an earth ground, and without being too technical about it, it's a huge amount of electrical energy, and lightning strikes happen all the time, but they don't happen any more frequently with a metal roof than they do with a shingle roof or a tile roof or any of that stuff. It can be attracted to the plumbing in your house, the vents that come up through the roof, just as easily as they could the metal roof itself. So there's no extra risk from having a metal roof. None at all.
Good.
Unless you ground it, might put an antenna up, and so you don't want to do that.
What new technology or trends should homeowners watch?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Edson. I thought you would never say that. So as of late, we have been talking to a company that sells us some coil that's not aluminum. When you're on the coast, you've got a particularly sticky situation with metal. If you're within 1,500 feet of salt water or brackish water, you're going to have to, in order to warrant that product, you're going to have to use aluminum. Up till now,
just to make sure, how far away from the salt water?
1,500 feet.
1,500 feet.
So you got to be a little over a quarter mile away before you can get a warning on a steel roof.
Okay.
So as of late, though, we've run across a product that will warrant that. That's made of steel, but the coating on it is aluminum zinc, which is every piece of galvalume, plus magnesium. So the magnesium in it protects that steel and keeps it from rusting out. It's got a 20-year guarantee on the substrate, 35 years on the Kynar finish on it, and you can put it close to the salt water with full warranty, and no problems. And it's significantly less expensive as a homeowner than the aluminum products.
Oh, nice. That's really important to know.
Yes, sir.
They can have now a metal roof that's not as expensive as an aluminum roof.
Exactly.
And still be protected and warranted.
Yes, sir.
Nice, very nice. So, Arthur, I know there are many suppliers, many companies, especially with this whole thing about matter from USA, matter from China, other manufacturers. But again, at least myself, when I met you and your team and, at your location, but I want to hear from you. What really makes you different?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Edson. I'd like to talk to everyone about Mid-Florida Metal Roofing Supply. We pride ourselves on premium and custom metal manufacturing. We are a family-owned company that's been in business for about 18 years, and we like to think that we provide legendary customer service all the time, every day. We work with contractors and homeowners to provide the very best service and the very best competitive prices in the market. There are many metal roofing suppliers. There's a lot of places to buy bread, right? You can buy bread anywhere. You can buy metal in lots of different places. But you should buy it from us because we have a team of dedicated professionals at the office that are ready to help, ready to make sure that your project goes off without a hitch, goes off without a problem or issue. If there are problems or issues, we have problem-solving people in the office that can fix that. We appreciate all the business from our homeowners. We appreciate all the business from our roofing contractor partners, and we look forward to working with you and solving your problems and getting your project done. Thank you very much.
And I want to add a little bit to that, and my gratitude to you and the entire team. And that is true. When I went to the shop, I actually called Arthur, and he invited me to the shop. I met everyone, all the estimators. The owner came out, spoke with us, and we did a tour to the entire assembly, how the metal came in, the machines, and how everything was cut. You actually can see it built in America. Well done. And again, thanks to you, Arthur, for the entire team at Metal Roofing Supply.
Very good. Mid-Florida Metal Roofing Supply. Thanks you, Edson. And let's go put some metal on. What do you say?
Let's go.